Hi, and welcome to the A Little Spoon Kitchen. Today's cook-along is going to be gyoza, Japanese dumplings. We're making them with pork, and I'm going to take you through every step from start to finish. We're going to grind the pork, we're going to make filling, we're going to make the wrappers, shape the dumplings, cook the dumplings, and eat the dumplings. So let's get started. Okay, for those of you who are cooking with me, I have about a pound of pork here. I did have an entire pork butt. But before this recording started, I just kind of chatted while everybody was getting in and chopped up about 6.5 pounds of pork, leaving just this left for me so that we could work today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this pork up into smaller pieces so that I can grind it using this grinder attachment here, which you will see me put on. And what we need to do is chop this up into small pieces so that it will fit down this little guy right here, this hole here, so it'll go into the grinder and then grind up our meat. So they need to be small enough to fit there, and we're going to cut into chunks and then freeze. You don't ever want to cut up your pork and then try to grind it right away. It's a really not a great time when it is not partially frozen. When it's just fresh meat, it will kind of like get really squishy and mushy. It's not a great texture. It's not great going through your machine. And you'll kind of see on camera, I'll make sure that you guys can take a look at what the pork like really looks like when it's coming out of the grinder after it's been kind of pre-frozen a little bit. Let's see. If you read any of the recipe ahead of time, you will see that it says to make sure to do this first. You want the meat to have time to freeze up a little bit. Now this piece is kind of frozen. I did have this frozen to begin with. In my deep freezer, so it's actually, I'm cutting this fairly easily. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to chop them up into small-ish pieces, smallish chunks. And then I'm going to lay them on this. If you wanted to, you could put these pieces into a bowl and just put put that into a freezer or a deep freezer or whatever you have. In my opinion, it's better to lay them flat on a sheet like this just because then you have more surface area being exposed to that cold temperature. If you have a bunch of the meat like in a bowl kind of stacked on top of each other, they'll insulate each other, so it will take longer for them to freeze up. But they don't have to be fully frozen, just partially frozen is fine. I'm gonna start this, and then in the first like little bit, I'm gonna disappear. Got like 10 minutes on screen, and then I got to go peace to the refrigerator. To the freezer I go. You guys get to hear me walking through my house. Okay. Almost done. I'm not going to be trimming any of the fat unless it looks like it's something like a silver skin or anything that's just like kind of webby looking. I know that's kind of like a weird adjective. But if you see something that looks kind of like slimy and almost like if you pull it apart, it kind of gets like really thin and like webbed out, that's not the best fat. It gets caught in your grinder. And then you end up like mostly having to clean it out anyway. So if you want to trim that off, you can. But all of these pieces of fat that are marbled in, keep those. That is what makes these taste so good. That and all of the seasonings we're going to put into them, but still. Just need a blast chiller? Yeah. That's the next step. You got the deep freezer, right? So Unagi just got his deep freezer. He's very excited about it. Now you need a blast chiller too. Buy all of the equipment. Super cool stuff. Cold. Ooh, the music. Do we have music on in the background? We did last time, didn't we? Oh. No, we don't need music, apparently. I thought you did. No, somebody said we need. I thought we had that last time, though. Okay. Pork in my pan. There you go. Okay. All chopped up in one nice layer. Nothing's really overlapping. That's what you want. I'm gonna wash my hands. You can't see me, but you can hear me.
For those just watching the YouTube video at a later date, this is a live stream.
Oh, that was a good idea.
On Little Spoon's channel, my wife. I'm Leopard. I'm also live on Twitch right now. And I'll be also running around helping her out. And maybe being on camera when she's not. So it's not a blank screen.
The sous chef. Oh.
Yes, chef.
So it's not a blank screen.
Where are you going with that pork tray?
This, I'm going to a deep freezer.
How about I go do that? Oh, wait, then it's not a cook-along.
Yeah, but then it's not a cook-along. People need time.
Well, no.
We're taking it easy.
They have a deep freezer right next to them.
Right next to them. Okay, fine. You can do that.
Plus, there's not a lot of room in the deep freezer.
Okay, I actually have another knife and another cutting board. So I am going to put this here. See, you just made that like 5 minutes faster than it would normally be. Okay, so that's going to go sit in the deep freezer while we get started on the wrappers. This. Okay, so these wrappers are a hot water dough. They're going to give you, in my opinion, the softest dough for a wrapper, which I really like. Maybe use that. Okay. You're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which is about 255 grams for those of us who are going to be weighing. I am going to demonstrate a little bit with my scale and not with my scale, so that depending on whether or not you're using imperial or metric measurements, you're going to get an idea of what you're supposed to be doing at this point. We are going to need a half a cup or 120 milliliters of boiling water. Okay. And about a quarter cup or 60 milliliters of room temperature water. And then we're also going to need a teaspoon or 5 grams of kosher salt. I use Diamond Crystal kosher salt. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. I can do it. Diamond Crystal kosher salt. Morton's salt crystal structure is a little too condensed for me. So it's really easy to oversalt with their salt. I like the flakes that Diamond Crystal uses in their product. And so I prefer them, use them in all of my baking and all of my cooking. They did recently come out with a baking salt that is supposed to be like smaller and finer. So it's closer to a Morton salt. So you can use them interchangeably, I believe. But I'm still on their regular kosher salt. I probably won't ever move over just because I'm so used to using it. How do gyoza differ from pot stickers? They're smaller. They're smaller, and the seasonings might be a little bit different, but other than that, there's not too much of a difference. Oh gosh, what do I need for a sub button on YouTube? A lot. I need like a certain amount of thousands of hours of watch time, plus a certain number of subscribers, plus a certain number of videos within a certain amount of time. Like it's a lot. We won't be there anytime soon. Let's just say that. Carrie's Kitchen tongue twisters. Yeah, that's basically what it feels like, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to get a little pot. If you really want to use a pan, you can, and just need some water. I need enough water to do the half a cup. Oops, not a half a cup. My half a cup, my 120 milliliters. of water for my wrappers. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to turn that on low for now. Okay, so let's get some flour in here. Like I said, we need 2 cups. And I just want to make sure that we're all doing this appropriately. Let me do this. So I'm actually going to do my first scoop. I'm going to just show you guys if you are using Imperial and you're just going strictly for cups and you're not going for weight. I'm going to show you exactly how you should be scooping and measuring your flour so that you don't end up with a really dry, unmanageable dough. We don't want that. I always keep a spare scoop in my flour because what you should be doing is properly aerating your flour when you are measuring it for whatever recipe you're using. Unless somebody specifically says in their recipe, like compacted flour or like packed flour or something like that, what you should be doing is pre-aerating your dough. So that's why like sifted cups and things like that are important. Or you should be essentially scooping and then pouring in kind of like this, which will aerate your dough as it is kind of falling into the scoop that you're going to be using. If you took a scoop and just like went straight in and went like this, it's so compacted. You could easily have like 30% more flour than the recipe calls for because you're not measuring by weight, you're measuring by volume. And it's very different. The difference between this scoop and something that I like compacted by kind of like scooping down and then leveling off. So here's my single cup. So a scoop in that way, where you're kind of scooping and pouring and then leveling and you're getting a little bit of that aerated flour, should be somewhere between 128 and 130 grams, sometimes 125 depending on how light and gentle we're going. But I've got, let's see, 129 grams, which is usually my sweet spot. My sweet spot is usually like 128. That's usually where I land. You love pot stickers, so you've always been curious about Gyoza. Yeah, yep, Gyoza is choice. Okay, so now we've got that. That is how you're going to scoop if you're doing Imperial. If you're doing metric, I'm just going to use my scale. So I know that I need 255 grams, so I'm just going to do this until I hit it. And that is why it's easier. You don't need to be gentle. You can just kind of do whatever. And if you go over, you're like, oh, hey, which I just did on purpose. You can just do this until you have the right amount. Hey, look at that, 255. So easy. I could have literally just taken the flour, poured it right in, and essentially been done. But here is the flour that we need. In the recipe online, I do have this written as if you are going to use a stand mixer. I'm not going to use a stand mixer today. So for those of you who want to learn how to make this by hand, you picked the right time. It will take a little bit longer, but really not that much. The dough's really simple. I don't have to worry about blooming yeast. I don't have to worry about a lot of kneading or any of that kind of stuff. It really does come together. The hot water really does wonders for creating that gluten structure. And rest is honestly the best thing for this dough. So, essentially we get to incorporate everything, knead it for a little bit, and then just kind of let it rest. Knead it a second time after about a 15-minute rest just to continue to create that gluten structure. And then it just sits basically away either on the countertop or in your refrigerator, depending on when you're planning on using it, until you're ready to actually make the wrappers. So let's go ahead. I've got my water back here. I'm going to turn this up. I'm going to turn this up so that it boils. Now, something that I do is I actually really like, I'm not going to care, honestly, about the weight of the salt because it's a good, like as long as it looks pretty level, salt isn't going to really change anything that much, at least by texture. And flavor-wise, it won't be that big of a deal either. What I like to do is get this really hot, pour it into here. I probably will make a mess because it doesn't have a spout or like a lip on that pot. So it will probably do me the favor of splattering all over my counter. That's fine. But I pour the salt into the hot water and then I give it a little mix to dissolve that salt into the water so that it better incorporates the saltiness throughout the flour. And I'm not just like sprinkling it into that. Yeah, that's really hot. I'm not just sprinkling it into the flour and hoping that it like fully gets all in there, works itself all in there. Okay, so honestly, it could get a little bit more, but we'll do that next. Okay. So that goes in. I am definitely left-handed and cannot stir right-handed, so this should be interesting. And it's okay if you pour a little bit out, but like that's fully in now. So like if you don't want it to be like all the way up to the top and you're a little scared about that, just pour like half of it out and then put the salt in halfway. Not a big deal. And I'm actually gonna do just a little bit more because I didn't get it all the way up to the top. I am a lazy person and I like to use dry measurement scoops for liquid, which is like totally not what you're supposed to do. But essentially what you need to do in order to do that appropriately is make sure that every liquid is like heaping and like slightly has like a little bump over the top of where you would normally level off, to kind of make sure that you're measuring right. Okay, so I've got my hot in here, and I'm just gonna give it a stir. We've got our hot salt water. And then I do have a 1/4 cup of my room temperature water here. So this hot water is immediately gonna start kind of like working on getting that gumminess and getting everything started. And then in order for me to get my hands in here and it not be really hot, we see how it's kind of shaggy. I'm going to go ahead and start adding this. You may not end up using all of this. Just FYI. I'm going to get my hands in. It is going well. I'm sorry you missed the start, but you can always do the beginning of the replay. Are you cooking with us today, Tadisa? It feels so good. If you have cold hands, just make some hot water dough. Warm you right up. Okay, a little bit more. So it is going to be a little tacky at the start. It will stick to you. But as you continue to knead, it will stop doing that. And it will come away from the sides of the bowl, it will come away from your fingers, and then you can knead straight on the countertop. So I'm just gonna keep kind of kneading and pushing it around the bowl and picking up all of these little pieces. Does anybody have any questions yet? If you are doing this in a stand mixer, you're just letting it go, right? So just turn it on. You're going to turn it on probably like a medium. And you're going to let that dough hook take care of it. I use Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. Are you trying to trip me up because I made the mistake earlier? That was trying to trip me up right there. Okay, so I'm just trying to get flour. So basically what you want it to be is you want it to be tacky, but you don't want it to stick to your hands. So like now that, I don't know if you can tell, It was really sticky earlier. Let me move this side. It was really sticky earlier. But now it's not really sticking to my hands. So this is all just like residual. This is just like leftover from when I was originally kneading. And it will come off my hands as I knead more. Yeah, we did figure out, I guess for anybody who's here live, this isn't going to make any sense for anybody who's visiting at a later date, but I had an issue with my website where every page loaded, but it just loaded the title and like nothing else. My hosting company was like doing some weird redirect thing, and then on top of that, WordPress had an update, and the update didn't integrate well with some of the plugins I have on my website, and so it just like didn't show anything. But it's fixed now, mostly. Yeah, we had to revert. Your hand would be cramped by now. I climb. See, rock climbing is good for all sorts of things.
That's right.
Got them strong forearms. So basically, I guess I'm doing that kind of fast. Basically what I'm doing, so I'm going to be doing this for like 2 minutes minimum. I want to basically get this to like a smooth place, and then I'm going to put it into a bowl, cover it, and just kind of let it rest, let it relax a little bit for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to come back to it, and we're going to knead again, and then it's just going to rest until we're ready to roll them out. But what I'm doing is I'm kind of like giving like a little bit of a grip, pushing the heel of my hand into it, turning it on its side, and then doing it again. And so I'm letting this hand kind of do that movement of like shaping it and putting it where it needs to go, and this hand is just doing the rolling. So it looks like this. See that okay? And I don't know if you can see, so like nice and soft, right? So like, hey, we're making some focaccia. Like nice and soft, but still just like a little bit sticky or tacky, but it's not wet. This isn't a wet. It should not be coming off on your fingers. It's like slightly softer than brand new Play-Doh. For anybody who is a parent or remembers playing with Play-Doh or still plays with Play-Doh as an adult, hey, you never know. Can't say I've never done that. I'm just giving little quarter turns every time I do this. I'm taking all the way from the back, pushing all the way forward, all the way from the back, all the way forward. And you can see it's starting to get smoother the longer that we work with it, that the surface is getting nice and smooth. You good?
Is there anything to clean?
I guess if you want to clean this, you can.
Yes, chef.
And the cutting board with the pork.
Yes, chef.
Oh my goodness. My fingerprint's not being recognized by my computer. Yeah. Sir, please, off the screen. You can see Lev walking around through the microwave, the reflection on the microwave. Oh, we don't have the polarizing filter on.
I tried it.
Didn't look right? Did it make everything too dark?
Didn't really affect much because
Okay.
everything's direct reflection. It only helps the countertops.
Yeah. Hey, Tito.
Tito! Where?
In Twitch. It's almost dinner time.
That's not a name I've heard in a long, long time. Welcome, Tito. Welcome.
Okay, so we're going to stop there. You can see it's still a little mottled, right? So we still have a little bit of mottling. But it's got a nice smooth texture. We're no longer shaggy. And if I were to just like do one of these, yeah, I know. If we were gonna do one of these, like you can see that it's like nice and smooth. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up to make sure that we retain the moisture in the dough and it doesn't dry out. You could also put it into a bowl because it's not gonna, we don't have any yeast, right? So it's not gonna, like, we're not proofing anything. We're not doubling the size of a dough or any of that kind of stuff. If you want, you can stick it in a bowl and cover it with like a wet towel or something like that. Whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna leave that there for about 15 minutes. Stick it up there. Okay. Oops, I forgot there was water in that. Just sprayed my whole countertop with water. So I probably used, let's see, I didn't use the full quarter cup, 60 milliliters of water. I probably used about half of it. So you're looking at about 2 tablespoons or 30 mils of water, so about an ounce of water. Milliliters. Do I want, let's start working on the prep for some of the fillings because I want that pork to have a little bit more time in the freezer for you guys. Here, can I get my hands in here, please? Thank you. Got some dough. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to take this cutting board back. I'm going to grab another knife. Do you have that one clean already? No. Okay, so then I'll do this. All right, and we're going to get working on our cabbage. Spilled more water for you. Sorry, my bad. We could get working on our cabbage. I have a head of Napa cabbage here. For anybody who's cooking with me, are you in a good place? Are you ready to move on? Do you need a minute? How are you doing? Whoop. Okay. She's sticking. There we go. This, it's a little bit bigger than I think a normal, but it's not too much bigger. That's pretty good. You're good? Okay, cool. Right along with me. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. I like it. That's the point. I'm so happy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is because this cabbage is really just getting salted, it's not getting like fermented, it's not sitting for a really long time so that all of this, these thick leaves, the thick part of the leaves, this, I guess like stalk around the leaves or stem, I guess, or stem. Let's go with stem. Because we don't want to use this in this, we're going to make sure that we're taking the green parts and we're using these green parts. So what I would traditionally do is I would chop to about here where they start and see how much weight I have and just be lazy about it. So I would chop off this like top part, see how much I had by weight, or I think I give like a cups situation in here at some point. And if I don't have enough, at that point, I'll start pulling off leaves and start doing what I did just now, which is like chop kind of down into the green part and just like toss the whites to the side. Today, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it the right way. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break leaves off. So I'm going to take the outer ones off that are a little like wilted. They're not great. And I'm going to put that in the garbage, and I'm going to start just taking off leaf by leaf. You are not going to use like the whole head. So I don't want to just cut the bottom off because then it'd be a little bit of a waste again. So we're just going to go take our time. I'm gonna take our time. I'm gonna chop off pieces from the bottom, and I'm gonna stack them. Okay. You're looking for about 200 grams of cabbage. At the start, you will lose some water weight by the time that you go, by the time that we've kind of like salted it and let that water pull moisture out of the leaves, or let that salt pull moisture out of the leaves. All right, let's start there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a couple of leaves. Okay, so I've got 2 leaves here. I'm not washing it yet. I'll wash them, like I'll rinse them and wash them in this basket, and then use the salad spinner to kind of get some of that moisture out. And then again, I'm going to be like salting it and kind of like squeezing all of that out in like a separate colander at a later date. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this. Okay, and I'm just going to go around this white, and these are tossed. Unless you feel like eating them, you still could. Still making the dough. Okay. I guess it's a good thing that I'm going slow. If you want, just chop off the top part here. And we'll go from there. So I'm cutting these in like strips. You've got time to catch up, don't worry. We're cutting these in strips. Okay, and then I'm going to give it another chop. And these will wilt even more once we've salted them. But basically what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna have them in like small enough pieces that when you go and you bite into the final product, you're not like pulling out pieces of cabbage, right? You want it to like really mesh well in with the filling. Yeah, this is one of my largest cutting boards. This is one of my largest cutting boards. Cabbage can kind of get everywhere. But basically, yeah, basically what I'm doing is I'm starting the cuts by getting like kind of relatively small strips, and then I'm just gonna kind of give it a nice dice through. Get all these pieces small. Like I said, as they wilt, they will become smaller. And just a little bit more like malleable. There. Okay. I'm kind of worried about throwing this into the salad spinner because I feel like I feel like my pieces are so small they're gonna pop through. So let's do this. Do this for now. Zero that out. That's gonna go in. Oh, look, 37 grams. Okay. Okay. Line these up. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of cabbage. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is in fact a lot. I think what I might do so that I can make sure that I have enough from the salad spinner is I'm just gonna do strips, and I'm gonna salt strips. and then I'll re-chop it before it goes into the filling. That way I don't lose any. Okay. My cabbages! Is this something your sous chef should be doing? No, because this is a cook-along. And if I had my sous chef doing stuff while I was doing other stuff, then a single person could not do that.
Can I help? Can I please help?
No.
Please? Okay, I guess I'll...
You can make me water like you said you were going to do before we started.
I did say that, didn't I? Sorry, chef.
We're at 130 grams, by the way. So we're almost there. Done. Nice. Nice, Jumbie. Have let make the drinks. Yep. Okay. Let's see. This one looks like it's... I'm just looking for which ones are on the outside. I'm slicing from the bottom because they're starting to get really delicate on the top and they're breaking, and I don't want them to do that. So I'm just looking for which ones are on the outside. I'm giving them a little bit of a slice, and then I'm just pulling them up from the bottom. Maybe. Thank you. Okay. So same thing, we're just gonna line this up so that they're right on top of each other, and then we're gonna cut right down the middle, or right down the sides, making sure to leave that middle out. You could have it in there, like, honestly, this is me just being picky. If you wanted to have that center section chopped in, you could. It just doesn't relax as much when salted. And so you'll have like a little bit of crunch. And a little bit of pieces that are like thicker. So just texturally it'll change. It's not gonna change the flavor. It's not like a huge deal. It's just something that I do. Something that I found better for my tastes. This is making me want a sandwich. Right now I'm throwing it in the garbage. If you wanted to, you could pickle it. Yeah. Or you could saute it up or roast it or something like that. Oh, did I do what I think I did? Oh, there we go. Almost there. These last two pieces are going to be it. So like I said, like you're not going to finish the whole thing. This you could easily you could use because Napa cabbage. So Napa cabbage is great because it is so thin and it is so delicate. It's not as waxy as like a head of cabbage that you would buy like just traditional American cabbage that you'd get at your grocery stores. And so you can saute it up really easy into like a stir fry. If you wanted to try your hand at some kimchi, you could make yourself some kimchi. You could just like honestly eat it in a salad. Or you could even do that whole where you like cut it kind of into steaks and roast it a little bit or grill it. Yummy. All of the above. Okay. Like I said, this will be my last. This is probably about my last bunch here. So I'm just cutting strips. And now I'm going to give her a rinse. This colander will come back to haunt us in about 20 minutes. Because I'm going to be using this when I squeeze out the wilted and salted cabbage. Okay, I'm just going to get some water in here. I'm going to give them a little bit of a rinse. Basically, I'm just going to turn on my faucet, rinse this cabbage out, put it back in here, and then I've got the topper, and you guys can, like, I guess, watch me do some salad spinning. So you guys get to hear this, I suppose.
Good thing I'm here to continue to provide on-screen entertainment. Have you seen Dune? Scatter. No, she's back. She's coming right back. Don't worry. She won't be gone long. We need a POV cam.
To follow me around the kitchen?
A little shoulder cam on you, yeah. There's your online melon. Here I am.
Okay. So we want this to get relatively dry. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yay.
Kind of start a lawnmower.
I know, that's what it feels like.
Vroom.
I'm going to do that again. Just kind of give it a little bit of a fluff up. Essentially what we're trying to do by salting and wilting the cabbage, and then again by like using the salad spinners, we're just trying to get as much moisture out of the cabbage as possible, because once we put it into that filling, if it releases moisture into the filling when you're cooking it, or once it hits salt, because there is like soy sauce and stuff in the filling, and it wilts there, it will get like mushy and wet, and you're not gonna have like a nice meatball texture. It'll be a little gross. So you want as much moisture to come out of this as you possibly can get. 200 grams of cabbage, yes. That is correct. If you go slightly over or under, it's not gonna hurt anything. This is not, we're not actively baking. Whoop, I slid. We're not actively baking, so it should be fine. That was probably quite loud into the microphone. I'm very sorry for whoever got to hear that. Okay, I think that's good. So what I'm gonna do, so like that's, I mean, I easily took 1/3 of a cup of water, so like 80 milliliters of water out of this cabbage just doing this, the salad spinner. And there's even more is gonna come out once I add salt. So like think about having like a pound of pork, right? So like 255 grams of pork in a couple of other ingredients, and suddenly you're adding like 80 milliliters or 1/3 a cup of water to that. Like that's just gonna be gross. Okay, so we've got this guy here, and what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna add the salt. I'm just gonna kind of give it a little bit of a mix around, and then I'm just gonna let it sit in my sink and drain. And we are going to come back, and before this goes into the filling, we are going to really squeeze out as much moisture as we can. If you really want to, this is up to you and I don't do this. I do know of people who do this just to get any of that added moisture out. Totally understandable. We'll use a cheesecloth and pour this into a cheesecloth and wring it out and really, really just get as much moisture out as possible. I'm fine just because the holes on my colanders are so small. I'm fine just kind of like squishing it in, squishing it down and squishing out all of that moisture. It just went to sleep. I'll open it back up in a second. Or even dumping into like a fine mesh strainer so that I don't have to turn around and try to clean a cheesecloth. Like I just have no desire to do that ever. So unless a recipe like specifically needs it, I try as much as I can to stay away from them. Huh? My battery's like 90 something. Oh, 87, close. Okay, so let's do some salt. I've got my Diamond Crystal Kosher salt right here. And we are going to add, where are you? A teaspoon or 5 grams of our salt. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of go over the top like that. And then I'm just going to kind of gently massage it before I start mixing it because I want that salt to dissolve a little bit. I don't want it to kind of fall straight through. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that do that. And I can already feel more moisture in this than there was when I stopped the salad spinning. Okay, so this is gonna sit in our sink. While we prep the rest of our filling ingredients and then get that kind of finalized. I'm gonna put this back in the bag and clean up my space a little bit because I've made a little bit of a mess with all of this cabbage. So for anybody cooking along, you get a little bit of a break because I'm doing some cleanup.
I just want to help, but I'm not allowed. At least not your workspace. Maybe additional
You can help
stuff.
a little bit. Like I'll just
Like anything you put by the
you
sink.
go.
You can drink some water right there.
I could drink some water. The cap is still on. I couldn't just walk over. I'd have to like walk over there, unscrew the cap, drink the water. Thank you. The magnet behind, yeah, our magnet, our LEP magnet. This is my husband's face when he realized what Dream Daddy was actually about. There are several hundred of those around the United States / world, maybe. And so it's kind of like a little bit of an Easter egg hunt. It's like going through Disney and looking for hidden Mickeys. Whenever we see somebody or whenever we're at somebody's house and we see one, like it's always a joke. It's always funny to see like where he shows up. Everywhere, yeah. Okay. How much salt in the cabbage? About 5 grams. You're using a teaspoon of salt. If you're not using Diamond Crystal kosher salt, I suggest you weigh your salt out. If you're using like Morton or even like table salt, 5 grams of a teaspoon of table salt is like, honestly, it's got to be something like between 50 and 100% more salty than a Diamond Crystal. So the crystal structure of salt changes by brand. The more compact it is, the saltier it is, but also obviously the heavier it is. And so if I'm using this guy and going, same thing with flour, right? Is it's more compact. And so it's actually heavier and saltier. And if you're going by volume, you will taste that. So it's better to weigh out. If you're using a different brand than it's called for, it's better to weigh out your ingredients, your salt ingredients specifically. Okay, I'm going to give Jambi just a little bit of a minute because he's asking about the salt, and I want to make sure, because I'm pretty sure you're massaging that in and getting that into your cabbage right now. Let me start pulling ingredients over, I guess. Start doing this. Whee. Yep. I got you. Oh, I love my SodaStream. Honestly, but like you don't have to get SodaStream specifically, just like any carbonization. I'm so bougie at this point.
We're pretty partial to sparkling water. A lot of people don't care to spice up their water, but
dude, the bubbles tingle my ADHD brain so much.
So you don't have to drink Coke.
It's just so much more exciting. Than like flat water. Like con gas, people. I need it.
No, it's like it's like a mocktail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the mocktail version of water. It's like make it interesting.
Yeah.
Normal water is boring.
No,
I love normal water is great.
Yeah.
Spice it up.
Yeah. It just makes my brain happy. And I know a lot of people who are like on spectrum, right? Who like the bubbles are too much for them. It's like too much going on and it's overstimulating. But for somebody who has ADHD, I'm on spectrum, but like also the ADHD, it just like makes it a little, like I get a dopamine hit every time I take a sip of water. I can't drink flat water anymore. It's so boring. I get sad. I get sad when I drink it. Normal water boring. Unless I've been outside for a couple hours in the Florida heat and I've got like a nice cold glass of ice water, like there's really no, I would prefer to have the sparkling 10 out of 10 times. Good morning. Where are we, John B? Are you ready? How are we doing? We're going back to our dough for a minute. And then we're going to finish up get our filling going. Ready. Okay. We got our dough. Okay. We're just going to knead it again. Now, you will already, for those of you who are cooking along with me or have come to this video and have decided that you're going to follow along, you will noticeably feel the difference between when we put this, set this aside to rest about 15 minutes ago to now, or 10 minutes ago to now. It is much more relaxed. We have a much better gluten structure here. For those of you who are not used to like working with doughs or breads or something like that, gluten still forms while it's resting. You do not need to be constantly kneading. I know, knead. You don't need to be kneading your dough to create gluten. As long as it's just sitting, it will be happening. You just have to make sure that you come back every now and then and that you work it a little bit to kind of continue that process and just like boost it and kind of support that the building of that structure. So anyway, we're just going to do the same thing that we did before. And this is just going to be another like say 1-2 minutes, like nothing crazy. And now this is all hand. This is all by hand. It's even faster if you do it with a mixer. This dough is really easy. It does not take a long time. This is not a brioche, which, oh my gosh, takes forever. It's really simple. You do not even need equipment if you don't want to. Big difference. See, Lindsay, so you can tell, right? It's like so soft. It's so soft. It's much more smooth. You can see it's way more smooth than it was. If you go back on the video, once this becomes a video and is no longer live, you can go back to this picture-in-picture and you can see the difference the first time to the second time. Still should just be slightly tacky, should not be coming off on your hands. If it rests and you're kneading it and you're finding like pieces of it start to stick to your hands or something like that, you can add a little bit more flour. Don't be worried about that. We're just doing the same thing. Not much longer, just a couple of minutes. We're getting lots of puns in here. Top bun. I feel the need for need. That's good. Yeah, he's walking around, so you can see him. His reflection is in the microwave. We see you. He's pointing at me right now.
Trying to point the reflection. Gotta put a curtain over that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty reflective. Okay. I'm going to call it quits there.
Call it quits.
So now this is essentially done. We're just going to let it keep relaxing while we make our filling. So just wrap it back up or cover it, put it back in the bowl that it was in, and it's just going to sit until we're ready to make our wrappers. Basically it. Let's start doing our filling. We have our pork still in a freezer. I'm going to give it a little bit longer, and we're going to kind of prep everything else that's going to go into the filling, and then we'll grind the pork and just mix everything once the pork is ground. So let's go ahead and do our chives, our garlic chives. I'm not sure, for those of you who are cooking with me, I'm not sure if you have garlic chives or if you ended up with scallions. In the recipe online, I give a substitution for that. We're looking for garlic chives, okay? So it's not like regular chives. We're looking for specifically garlic chives. They're slightly different in the way that they look. Let me pull one out from this bunch. Okay, so the leaves are flat. So a lot of the time, not only, you know what I should do? Hey, honey, can you grab one of the garlic chive pots on the back patio for me? So I actually grow garlic chives at home because I make this quite often. Right now, they're in their sad, it was winter phase. But just so that you do know, if you decide that you're going to like grow them at home or you are trying to, get it doesn't matter which one, to be honest. Just grab a pot. It is sad. It's my sad winter pot. Okay, I'm going to just pull off a couple of these so that you guys can see them. So these are the ones that I grow at home. They're tiny. Like, don't think, like if you go to the store and you're expecting to get this, like this was actually kind of unexpected to me. These are rather big in my experience with garlic chives, but they will work. But they are flat. Let's see if that's helpful. These are the ones that I grow at home in a pot, but you'll see that they're flat, right? So a normal chive is still going to have like that rounded, almost like scallion structure. Garlic chives tend to be flat, and they smell like garlic instead of onion. If you do have scallions or chives or green onions or whatever else we call them, then what you're going to do is you're just going to up your garlic a little bit so that you maintain that garlic flavor that you would get from the garlic chives. And that's how you substitute for that if you can't find it. So in case anybody was kind of stuck on that, that's what you're going to do. I'm going to grab a nice big bowl. I like to use a wide bowl. This is what I'm going to kind of put all of my prepped ingredients and everything that's going to go into the filling is just going to go into this bowl, and then I'm just going to like mix it around. I prefer to use a wide bowl, not only because it gives me kind of like more space to move around and to really kind of like scoop and like kind of turn things, but like it just provides like way more surface. Like I'm not like digging like way deep down. So I actually prefer when I'm doing like meatballs, if I'm doing like some kind of filling like this. And even if I do like sushi rice or something like that, like I prefer to use like a wide bowl because when I'm adding in like a little bit of like my mirin and my vinegar, my rice wine vinegar and stuff like that, it's just easier when you can get a lot of that surface area. So much like the quarter sheet that we have our pork on, right? We wanted all that surface area. I'm kind of wanting the same thing when it comes to mixing or when it comes to like incorporating something into that. So let me go ahead. I guess I'll use these. I need this little bowl here. I'm going to start weighing. I would use that with my scale, except it is very wide and I can't see what are you called? I can't see wherever the label of how much the grams are. I can't see the screen. What is that called? Screen? Sure. Just about to ask about the normal chives. Do you want me to read you what I have a substitution. Shoot, I don't have it on me. But I did give a substitution. I think it's add an extra garlic clove is just what it is. And now I also, the recipe calls for roasted garlic. I think I said this in the lab. I'm going to say this every live that I do for every cooking video. I use roasted garlic because I am technically allergic to garlic. But I've found that I am good with roasted garlic, most likely because the roasting and the cooking of the garlic denatures its proteins enough that my body can handle it. You can use fresh garlic in this recipe. You do not need to use roasted garlic. It is just what I have gotten accustomed to. I really like the flavor and the sweetness of roasted garlic. So that is what I use in most of my cooking. It is less powerful and pungent than fresh garlic. So just kind of like be aware of that. If you're using fresh garlic, you're gonna wanna down it by like a quart, like 25% or something like that. 25 to 50% down it because, so like if I have 100% roasted garlic, you're gonna wanna use like 50 to 75% of whatever that measurement is with fresh, if you're substituting or replacing with fresh garlic. You can find the garlic chives even at Harris Teeter. I find my garlic chives at an Asian market. Like that's the only place I've been able to find it in town. And that is why I grow garlic chives, because they were so difficult for me to find that I was like, screw it, I'll do it myself. And I just started growing them at home. So I totally understand. Display. That is the word I was looking for. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Okay, so I am going to need, let's do this. I'm going to need 75 grams of my garlic chives, which is about a cup chopped. Let's see. Knife. I'm just going to go ahead. You do want these to be relatively small chopped pieces. Because you don't want to get like a really big piece of like chive in your mouth. You want, again, we want this mixture to be as uniform as possible. So like you're gonna end up wanting that cabbage to be nice and wilted in small pieces. You're gonna want to have these chives cut up nice and small, which is why I was like, oh, those are relatively large. So like what I'm gonna have to do, so like the ones at home, right? So here I've got like just regular chives, or I've got my little garlic chives. I say regular, but they're not quite regular. These are nice and small. I only have to like chop them like down once. These I'm gonna have to actually like chop and then like kind of go back through and really take care of them because they are rather large. I'm gonna cut the ends of these guys off so that I can get to the leaves. Honestly, something that might work here is if I just did this and sliced it down the middle. It's just gonna take extra time though. I really have no desire to do that to all of them. I'll just go back over it. Okay. I'm just gonna push everything up against my knife. And then start chopping. The sun's out. Yeah, a lot of the ingredients that I would consider harder to find, you will absolutely find them at an Asian market.
They have all the good stuff.
Yeah, they do.
How'd you get so good at chopping?
Lots of chopping.
Lots of chopping. Practice. I think there's talent there, though, too.
Let's just stop there because I feel like I'm squishing these a little bit.
Would you mind if I go see Dune 2 again sometimes this week in the IMAX?
Without me?
Oh, man. No, maybe in the middle of the day.
Have you talked to somebody that wants to go?
No, just me.
Just you just want to go? I thought somebody asked you.
No,
And you're like, can I
just
go?
want to see it again.
That's funny. No, why would I mind that? I would love to do that. Do you think the kids would be okay watching that movie?
No.
Oh, it turned off. Dang it. My scale turned off. Oh no. Okay, well, it looks like it is going into this bowl. We're gonna take a wide lean back to be able to see this. Okay, I'm looking for, what did I say? 1 cup, about 75 grams. I've dirtied the bowl. I'm sorry, honey. Here you go. You don't need to clean it right now, just FYI. Okay, so we've got a lot of chopping to do. Again. Got a ways to go. Got 22 out of 75. I'm about a third of the way there. I'm kind of like making sure that I have just the leafy parts. I don't want to have pieces that are too thick because, like I said, we want this to be a very uniform filling. And so I don't want to have like random pieces of like weird crunchiness. I don't know if Katie eats gyoza. She probably does. I don't see why she wouldn't. I think she's had them before. Okay, I don't think Luke likes scallions very much, scallions or chives or any of that. He's like very sensitive. My son, we're talking about my son, I'm sorry. My son's like really sensitive to strong flavors. So like everything has to be like mild, unfortunately. So again, just chopping. Whenever we do these, the sun always comes out. Did it get too bright? No, I can pull down the. No, it's fine. It rained last time. We talked about it hailed the last time that I streamed. Then the sun came out. Every time. Ugh. Okay. I'm not going fast enough. It is a problem. I guess I do need this. I'm just going to be moving from bowl to bowl to bowl, apparently. Okay. You're going to see me just do this over and over again. Halfway there. Honestly, here, let's just do this. I'm tired of having to keep turning this back on. Some of the tops are wilted. That's why I'm cutting off the tops. case anybody is wondering. We're going to work smart, not hard today. Today is not a hard working day. Today is a casual cooking day. Okay, that will be 75. So once I'm done chopping this, then I will have enough. There. And then we have a little bit left over. Honestly, I might start trying to grow from these. Maybe. Doesn't look like I have a lot of root. Okay. We'll do that. That's my leftover. The tail end of these guys can absolutely be used for like a sauce. You like cut them up and use, instead of scallions, if you want to use like the garlic chives for your dipping sauce, you totally can. And you would use the bottoms, so like the lighter parts of them. And you would cut up these guys. So like if you didn't want to have both things, if you went out and you got your garlic chives and you did not want to also buy the single stalk of scallion or green onion that was called for the dipping sauce, you can just use the bottoms of the garlic chives. No big deal. Hi, Diddy. Okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't like it. Oh, I don't like it. I'm having to push. Okay. We're going to do a little at a time. Scott, the chives are delicate. And so the more that you have to push down when you're chopping, the more you're going to get this green, which is not good because it just means that you're releasing the oil and you're releasing all that flavor into your board instead of your food. So me stacking like this is not honestly the best, but for time. Ooh, you walked 10 miles yesterday. Ooh, in 3 hours. That's great. Ugh, that must have felt so good. Tiring, but good, right? Okay. Would you walk 500 more? Oh, it's such a good song. Okay. All right, so here are our chives. It's okay if you're still chopping. Take your time, please. Take your time. Okay. So now I've got, let's see. I've got my roasted garlic here. I said 1 to 2 cloves. This is actually more than that. I'm gonna go a little heavy on the garlic today because I will roast garlic in bulk. So I might do like a whole bulb. I'm pretty positive. Let's see. I don't know. I might have the roasting garlic like recipe instructions somewhere in this. If not, I know it's on plenty of other recipes on my website if you're like looking for that. I think it was in gumbo. It's also in the potato and leek soup. Pretty much anywhere that I use roasted garlic, I try to like throw in the instructions for how to roast them, but I can tell you guys real quick. So what I do is I'll take an entire bulb of fresh garlic. I will chop off the top of it so that all of the cloves are kind of exposed. And then I will set that clove down into a little square of aluminum foil and throw about half a tablespoon, so like 6 grams of oil, of some kind of oil. Olive oil is fine. And pour that over the top of it, close up the aluminum foil, and then it goes in the oven for about 40 minutes. I'm sorry, I don't know what the temperature is for this. At 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I apologize. And let that roast. And then you can kind of squeeze the pieces, the garlic cloves that have now roasted and gotten really soft and lovely. You can squeeze those right out of the bulb. And I will literally do like 20 or plus bulbs of garlic at a time. And I will put them, I literally talked about this. So you're getting a repeat if you watched the gumbo recipe. I put them in these. I'll spread the paste with a spoon kind of like into each divot. And then I will freeze these and pop them out whenever I need them. And so each one of these is about 2 cloves of garlic. So as you can see, I've got more than that here. Because I wanted it. Because I wanted it. 204 for 400. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. 204 degrees Celsius for those of you who are cooking not in the United States and use metric. Okay. So I've got our chives are done. I've got some ginger here that I want to take care of. I've got my roasted garlic. If you are doing fresh garlic, you're going to want to take a clove. You're going to want to chop that clove up into slices or minced pieces. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife, the back of your, or the kind of like here, the blade of your knife, you're going to put it on its edge and you're going to roll over kind of like this, back and forth. And you're going to be pushing the pieces of garlic down into a paste, and that paste is what is going to get incorporated. So that is what you're going to be looking for if you're going to be using fresh garlic. Roll over. I mean, I guess I can make some real quick. I just won't be using it. Just so that the people who are actually cooking along can just, if they don't have roasted garlic, which I'm pretty sure they probably don't, this is what you're going to do. So basically, I'm going to chop the top and the bottom off just because they're like the roots and the top, and they're not, like, you don't want that. You don't want that in your gyoza. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to give it a little smack. So you're going to hear kind of a loud noise on the mic for just a second. And that's going to take the outside off. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just kind of slice. The same way that we were slicing up our chives. And then if you want to go smaller, you can. It really doesn't matter what the size of this is. Once you've got at least your slices, you're in a good place. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get this kind of into a pile, like so. And you're going to just do one of these. And you're really going to smush it and just keep grouping it back up into a pile and then just keep smushing it. I'm not very good at going the opposite direction. I tend to just kind of push it in one or pull it. I guess I'm pulling. Again, you're just going to do pile and then you're going to do one of these until you have a paste. And that paste is what is going to get added. Please, somebody remind me not to touch my eyeballs until I've washed my hands. Don't touch my face. How are my people who are cooking along with me doing? Are we in a good place? You can stop here if you want. If you want to keep going, you can do some more. You can. But that's pretty much what you're going to want, is this. Ooh, I gotta wash my hands. Don't touch your face. You're doing the garlic now? Okay. Cool. Yeah, so you're just gonna do that. And turn that into a paste. I'm gonna go rinse everything off because I will not be using this. Thank you very much for following along. I'm gonna clean my cutting board real quick. At least a little bit. Okay. You can use a mortar and pestle. Yeah. Yep. It does. It does the same thing as if you were doing a mortar and pestle. Just you're using less equipment, but you can absolutely do that if you prefer that. It's not a problem at all. In fact, if you wanted to do that, to chop up the garlic and the ginger, and then use the mortar and pestle on both, that would be great. Because we're actually going to grate the ginger, and a mortar and pestle will take care of that. Will I be steaming or frying the gyoza? Both. Both. We're going to pan fry and get the bottoms all nice and brown. And then we're going to put a little bit of water in the pan and cover it so that they can steam. Take the lid off and let that kind of, let all the whatever water is remaining in the pan. And we're going to let that evaporate. So again, that bottom can get nice and crispy before we turn them out onto a plate. So both. Okay, so I'm going to start this. I'm going to start the ginger. And I'm going to need about, let's see, 1 teaspoon, 3.5 grams of fresh ginger. So I'm not going to need to expose a lot of this. I'm just taking the edge of a spoon, and I'm just going to run it along the skin here. Ginger skin is very thin, and there's really no need to use a knife if you can just do this. And kind of use a spoon and a little bit of pressure to take it off. I'm going to get rid of this. You guys are too funny. Would a potato peeler work? It would, but it would take off some of the ginger. So you would be losing some ginger in that case. It probably not too much. You could use a knife to kind of like slice around too. Same thing, you'd be losing some of the ginger. The spoon is really the best way to peel it, but you could if you wanted to. Not a big deal. So let's start doing this. Let's see. Get my scale here. Oh, goodness. Get the bowl in frame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grate this right into the bowl. I prefer grating just because then you don't get some of those fibers that are in ginger into the filling. But if you wanted to slice off like, I don't know, like a 3.5 gram piece, or like a piece that relatively looks like it would take up about a tablespoon of volume, or sorry, a teaspoon of volume. If you want to just like slice that off, small dice it, and then throw that into a mortar and pestle with your garlic, you can. You can definitely do that because that will break down a lot of those fibers. Hi, Rach. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, we're already there. So basically, you're just looking for about a teaspoon. There you go. Yay, we did it. Is everybody ready to start grinding up our pork? Are we ready? I'm going to go retrieve it, and I'm going to set up so that I can start grinding. We've done everything that needs the cutting board so far. We don't have anything else left. Everything else is pouring. Okay, I'm going to run. Yay, bye. I'm going to run to the deep freezer and grab my pork.
Now you're stuck here with me. It'll be a while before she comes back. Deep freezer's on the west wing of the house, so it's about 300 yards away because we live in a streamer mansion.
The west wing. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
Chill. That is not true. Okay. So for those of you who are grinding with me, this is my KitchenAid mixer. This is my grinding attachment. I did used to have a plastic one, but it cracked and broke, and so I upgraded to metal because it should not do that. It's almost as tall as I am. Okay. Now, I guess let me show you this real quick. I feel like a grinder attachment will typically come with a couple of different faces, a couple of different discs for grinding. You are going to want to use the one with the smallest holes. Okay. Again, we want this to be as uniform as possible of a filling, and so having larger kind of like chunks, for better lack of terminology, in your pork. Like the less uniform it's going to be. And so you're going to want to use the smallest one that you have. So let's put that back on. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these pieces and I'm going to push them through after I find the tamper. Okay. let's turn this on. It would help if I plugged it in and we had power. This will be good though, actually, because now if I move this forward, it'll be in frame. So you guys can see. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna put a glove on. You don't have to do this, just wash your hands. I'm just gonna put a glove on so that I can kind of keep my hands clean once I'm done. All right, so you're just gonna take some of your pork. We're gonna put it right in. We should be really well frozen. Honestly, this might be a little too frozen, just because it was already kind of partially frozen before I got to it. If you have store-bought pre-ground turkey with you, use this as an opportunity to clean and finish whatever you've not yet finished, if you're not fully with me yet. Yeah, too cold is better than too warm. When it comes to grinding up any meat, to be honest. If it is too warm, it will be mushy, and you won't have, I don't know if you guys can see very well. Let's do this. You won't have these separate fibers. So you can see how they're very separate. You won't have any of that. You kind of miss out. Yes, this is pork. We are doing pork gyoza. You could also add shrimp, add some raw shrimp to this and do a pork and shrimp. That is also a traditional dumpling. It would be closer to something like a shumai, but you could do a pork and shrimp. If you don't eat pork, honestly, there's a ton of other, you could do strictly shrimp. You could probably do even a turkey or something like that. If you were going for something that was more lean, that would definitely be an option. Yeah, you can add, I'm going to back away because this is kind of loud. You can add all of the stuff that we've been prepping. You can just throw that right into whatever bowl you want to. They're all going to get mixed up together, so it doesn't matter if you've got the garlic chives and the garlic and the ginger and all that together yet, or even in the bowl that you're grinding into. Whatever you want to do is good. All right, that's it. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to put this directly into my sink. Like I said earlier, pork for me is kind of the scariest meat to kind of work with on a, will I or won't I make myself sick or anybody else sick in my household? So I actually sterilize. I use these Steramine tablets. I'll show them. Oh, God, no. Well, that's got to get sterilized too now. That's fun. Let's do that. Now that is gross and I can clean that off too. I use sterilizing tablets. Fill up my, that's so funny. I fill up my, I have a 60-40 sink, so it's split, and I'll fill up half of it with water, and I'll throw a couple tablets in so that when I clean out the grinder, I'll clean it out with soapy water, get it all kind of cleared up, but then I will actually sterilize it after the fact. If I were doing this commercially for, a bunch of people or something, I would sterilize it before and after use just to be on the safe side. But But yeah, I like to sterilize my sink. Yeah. Oh, you can see. It's blue. You didn't have to do that. It's not fully necessary. It's just something that I do. Just leave it at that. Okay, I'm gonna move this aside and start adding everything in. So I've got our chives. We're gonna add our chives directly in. I guess we'll do this. This is gonna be my mixing hand in a second. We're gonna add our chopped chives. Our ginger's already in there. Gonna toss in some garlic. And then we also need soy sauce. I'm gonna use tamari, mainly just because I prefer tamari. It's got a stronger umami flavor. It's made slightly differently, but you can, they're essentially a one-to-one substitute. It's just got a stronger flavor. So let's see, I need 2 teaspoons of this. I think I have my teaspoon still up here, I do. So I need 10 milliliters of this, and I don't want to hold it. So I'm gonna measure it this way. Because I know it's about the same viscosity of water, it will weigh the same. So we need about 10. Milliliters of that. And then we also need our sesame oil. And we're going for 1 teaspoon of this. This will be a little bit lighter than water. So it's probably closer to 4. Okay. A little bit of sesame oil. And now we're going to mix. Starting to get a little crowded here. Try to get that a little bit more in frame for you guys. I don't know where he put the camera back. There it goes. Okay, so you can just see. Just gonna mix it up a little bit. I still have my cabbage in the sink, so I'm just kind of giving this a little bit of a premix. Don't forget the cabbage. There is more. Nah, it'll be fine. He'll come back. Okay, I have my cabbage in the sink. I guess what I can do is I can probably just do this for you guys. You can watch this. Oh, you know what? We need to finish chopping this. I left them in strips while they, we're not done yet. I left it in strips while they soaked in the salt so that I could make sure that I send it through the spinner, salad spinner. There it is. All right, we're going to use another glove at another time. I have a second glove here just in case. So, hey, clean hands. Clean hands. We're going to chop. I'm going to squeeze out all of the liquid from this, and then I'm going to chop it. Okay. All right, so I've got, I guess let's do this over this way. That's where the camera is. I've just got it over a bowl. If I'd be doing this in the sink normally, but I don't have a sink, so I made a little bit of a sink. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna squeeze. And you guys will be able to see more of the water. And like I said earlier, I'm like really putting pressure on this. You can see I'm like really kind of squeezing and pushing. I said earlier, I mentioned the cheesecloth. You could. I have cheesecloth. I guess I could like demonstrate, but I'm not going to because like I just hate cleaning cheesecloth. But basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of just taking the pieces and I'm just squeezing out as much moisture as possible. And I'll show you how much I got out when I'm done. But you can see like how wilted that is compared to when we started. And that's just going to be such a better texture. And it looks like so much less. It's like one handful. Yep, you can add ground pork. You're good. Everything is going to get mixed up in one bowl. So like it doesn't really matter when you add things. Just add as you want. Add as you get to a step. Not a big deal. So I'm just going to keep squeezing until I really am not feeling a lot of kind of water go up between my fingers when I squeeze. Because like I can see a whole bunch coming out right now. And at some point it's going to kind of not be quite as much. It's not going to feel as wet. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of like squeezing a fistful and then pushing down a little bit and just getting them in, getting all that moisture out of the holes, out through there. Okay, so let's stop there. It's still gonna feel wet. So like, don't expect this to feel like it's dry or anything like that. You're just trying to get as much moisture out as you possibly can. Okay, and then we're gonna chop this and it's gonna go into our filling. Now you can see, I'll show you guys, let me take this part of the salad spinner out. So I had this sitting over this the entire time that it was in the sink. So the sink plus what I just squeezed out, this is like another 120 milliliters. This is like another half of a cup of liquid that's come out of that cabbage since we spun it the first time, just because of that salt and because of the squeezing that we just did. Okay, so I'm gonna do this back onto my cutting board. Okay, and now I'm gonna chop this up into small pieces. So right now we've got these strips and it was great. You honestly, if you wanted to chop this into really small pieces in the first kind of round before you salt it, you can. I think the recipe actually says to do it that way just because it's faster and you don't have to like kind of go back and forth. But if you were eating this, you would not want, like if you're making a dumpling, you don't want a strip like that. Like you don't want these like long strips to kind of happen, because if it is sticking outside of the dumpling, or if you're like taking a bite out of it and you only kind of want to take like a bite of half or something like that, and you're not like popping the entire gyoza into your mouth. And this string would go with whatever piece you bit into, and it would be not a fun eating experience. So we want these to be chopped down into smaller, much smaller pieces, so that you don't do that. And when you take a bite, you can actually bite it in half if you wanted to. No long strips. It is not a vibe. It is not a vibe at all. Even like when I make, so like every Christmas Eve, sometimes Easter's, my family and I make pierogi. And when we're doing our sauerkraut, we'll chop down sauerkraut too. Because it's just like it is not a vibe. Can you? Yeah, thank you. So now I'm just gonna chop these into small pieces and kind of like get it into like almost like a pulp. Okay. There you go. And that is going to go into our mix. Okay. back to this guy. I think I'm gonna have to get another one of these. We're making pork gyoza. Thank you for joining. It's fresh. It's got to be fresh. Oh my gosh, my hand is too wet for this. I should have. Blown it up before trying to get my hand in here. How's everybody who's cooking along doing? Do we have any questions? That's what you do? They're still not working very well. My fingers are, I just rinsed my hands off. Ugh. Can you tell I am not in a medical field? I am not. Ugh, goodness. All right, I'm gonna mix some more. Now, what I will normally do when I'm making like a meatball or like a meatloaf or something like that, I'm gonna try to kind of like claw my hand like this and then just kind of go and mix like this to incorporate. When I make these, I don't do that. I will actively take it and kind of smush it between my hands and my fingers and kind of go like that. There's so much greenery, vegetation, vegetable, I don't know, whatever we're gonna call it. There's so much other ingredients in this that you really can't smush it so much that you're gonna have like a weird like texture. With meatballs, they can get too dense, but with this, that's okay. Because like I keep saying, you want to have a uniform filling. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what you're looking for. And if you want to break it up a little bit and kind of get your fingers in there, after you've mixed it, you can. Ooh, it's cold. All right, we're going to make the wrappers now. You guys ready? Time to make some wrappers. Okay, I'm just gonna ball that up a little bit. And then this is gonna go into a refrigerator so that we're keeping it cold and we don't get ourselves into a world of hurt by letting this come to like room temperature and sit. So I'm gonna move this into a refrigerator. I don't think, honestly, that I have room in my regular fridge. Let's see what I've got going on here. Maybe. Hey, it worked. Cool. Okay. I'm going to clean up my space a little bit. No gloves for you? I don't usually use gloves either, to be honest. It smells good, I know. And it's gonna taste really good too. I'm so excited for you guys who are cooking with me today. You guys are about to have a good experience. Okay, so I'm gonna need quite a bit of space. I'm actually gonna show you guys a couple of different ways to do this. We'll leave this. It's over here. Gonna need quite a bit of space. So we are gonna, oh, sorry, that was probably really loud. That's why I wanted him to open it the last time, because I knew how loud it was gonna get. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a couple of different ways to do this. We have our dough. I'm going to show you how to hand roll your wrappers, and I'm also going to show you what I do, which is cheat and use a stand mixer. I have a pasta attachment to roll sheets of pasta for like lasagna and ravioli, which is essentially what we are making today. So I am, in fact, going to do that and use this. For those of you who are cooking with me, would you prefer the why grain? Do you have a pasta attachment, or do you really want to use this dough to figure that out? What are we most looking forward to here? What is the thing you want to learn? Do not have a pasta attachment. Okay, then I will make sure that we for sure do several of the wrappers. Now I know, Lindsay, we kind of talked about this before. Do you have a wine bottle that you can roll with, since we don't have a rolling pin? Do you have a cup or a bottle or something? I'm just gonna pull everything free. Yes, okay, cool. You got your wine bottle. Honestly, best way to do it. Especially if that wine bottle has a screw cap and you can close it and open it and enjoy at whim. No pasta attachment for you either. Okay, so then it will be important that we do some hand ones much more than the pasta attachment. So I will do both, but I will mostly stick to hand. Okay, just trying to clear my space up. Take out your flour, take out cornstarch. Make sure that your space is cleared of all of the greenery that you have cut up. I'm actually going to use otherwise it will be in your dough. We don't really want that. It does have a screw cap. Your wine bottle has a screw cap. I love it. Honestly, that feels like the best cooking day. Okay. So we've got our dough. Again, if you're cooking with me, you will feel an even more pronounced softness, shall we say. You're going to want to keep this because we're going to continue to keep this covered. We're only going to be using a little at a time. Again, we don't want this dough to dry out. So we're going to use a little bit and then cover the rest while we're working with the pieces that we've kind of taken off of our larger kind of chunk here. Oh, that feels so nice. So I don't know if you can see. Where do I need to be? This is an awkward place. Okay, there. So we've got just like this nice soft dough. Okay. For hand rolling, I actually, for all rolling, I actually use cornstarch. It helps with a couple of different things. So not only is it going to stop, it's going to kind of force this to not stick to my roller or to the countertop here. You can use flour. Like, you see how soft this dough is. If you incorporate a little bit of flour, that's not a big deal. But I actually do still like using cornstarch, mainly because it's not going to change the texture of the dough while it is in this state very much. And so by the time that you're cooking it, like, it's not a really big deal. And it's actually going to help create some of that like lacy bottom that you may or may not like to get when you're at a restaurant. Sometimes gyoza will come just with like a nice crispy bottom, and sometimes you'll get like a little bit of that like kind of like lace looking crispiness that kind of comes off of the bottoms. That's with people restaurants that make that style and have it kind of like have that crispiness and that lace. We use a cornstarch slurry to create that. And so you do get a little bit of that texture without having to make the slurry and without having to kind of cook it and create that in the pan. You get a little bit of that. So it's kind of like a best of both worlds thing for me. You don't need to use cornstarch. You can use flour. But if you want to, you can. It's really, really up to you. So what I'm going to do for those of you who are making these by hand, if you're new here, which I'm assuming since you're learning this, that you will be, you're going to want to do a 13-gram piece. That one is about 18. So these are small, like little guys. Okay, let's bring that into frame. So this is 13.3. Let's get it to about 13 for you. That's about right. Yeah. Okay. So this is one wrapper. Okay, little guy. He looks pretty little. I wonder if I could like force him into a volume measurement and see what we come up with. Maybe a half of a tablespoon. It's like a heaping half tablespoon for those of you who are attempting to, I don't know where this is framed there. For those of you who are attempting to do this, that's about 13 grams. Now, 13 grams is about the biggest that you're gonna wanna have. They will be thicker than your 10-gram pieces, but they will also be easier to fold when it comes time to folding because they won't be as thin. I prefer to use a 10-gram weight amount per wrapper, but we'll go ahead and we'll start with a 13, and then if you feel like you want to, we can move into a 10. So I've got a 13 here. I'm going to take a little bit of cornstarch or flour. If you want to do flour, you can. And I'm just going to give this guy a little bit of a rub down. And I'm going to get some cornstarch on either side of my little wrapper here. And I'm going to press down with my palm until it's like a disc. Where? There. I need to like create a box so that I know where I need to be. Okay. So there's your disc. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to hold it, the top that's away from you. You hold the top and you're going to take whatever you're rolling with. And I just want you to, honestly, don't roll over it yet. Just start doing this kind of rolling back and forth motion. You're not picking the roller up. The roller does not get picked up. The dough gets picked up. Okay, so just roll forward, roll back, roll forward, roll back. You're going to grab the top. Here's your first one. You ready? You're going to roll onto the dough, and then you're going to roll back. Roll up to the center, and then roll back. And then give it a like a 45-degree turn. Okay? Roll onto the center of the dough, and then roll back. Try to keep gentle pressure. Don't push too much as you're coming off of the edge of the dough, or it will get too thin. On and then off. Gentle, gentle. On and then off. Okay? On and then off. And just keep doing that and keep going around in circles and just keep moving it little by little. It doesn't need to be a perfect circle. We're not attempting perfection today. I honestly am probably not even going to get that. It's not a big deal. We're just going to keep going a little bit at a time. Don't lift up your rolling pin or your wine bottle or whatever you're using. You're only going to be moving the dough. Okay? How are we feeling? You feeling okay on this first one? Everybody good? Just keep twisting. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to give you nice thin edges and then like a thicker center. How are we feeling? Yeah, roll on, roll off. Exactly. Okay, you're just going to the center and you're coming back. Nothing crazy. Okay. Are you ready to start another one? How are we feeling? Okay, so you're basically going to want to get it to about this. It's about a 3.5 or 9 centimeter diameter. Okay, it's basically where you want to have it. Okay, if you want to roll it slightly larger than that, and you really do want that perfect circle every time, you are absolutely welcome to make it a little bit larger and then do this and cut it out with a cookie cutter. And then you have like a perfect wrapper. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I have store-bought wrappers in the deep freezer, or not the deep freezer, in the freezer that I was going to show people how to use, which honestly, it's easier to do the store-bought ones. So
Do you want me to go get them?
it's working pretty well. Good. They're frozen, so I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah. I put them in the microwave.
So there's your wrapper. Okay. So this is a 13 gram wrapper.
Perfect.
I'm going to start doing 10s. It's going to be the same process. It's going to look the same. It'll just be a little thinner. So let's go ahead and start doing that. I'm actually going to, can you grab me the cling film again, the cling wrap? Oop, that was almost dangerous. Caught it. Mom reflexes. What is this? Oh, that's from the chives. Let me move that out of the way. I'm going to just make a little space here where I'm going to throw some cornstarch down. Looks like flour, but is not flour. And then I'm just going to place the ones that I make down with some cling wrap on top of it to make sure that they don't dry out too badly. Okay? Okay, another piece. You ready? How are we doing? We're going to do a lot of these. You don't have to make, and I will say this now, you do not have to make all of these today, okay? If you, I do this often. I will make enough dough for like whatever. I'll make a huge amount of filling. So I will so I have like 6 pounds. I will make like 6 pounds of meat worth of filling. And then I will just go until the dough runs out and anything left over becomes a meatball. So like if you don't want to make 30 to 40, depending on how big or how many grams you're using per wrapper, if you don't want to make 30 to 40 of these today, you can make 10 and you can make meatballs, or you can put the meat aside and make more tomorrow and just wrap this up and put this in your refrigerator for a day or something like that. That is a-okay. All right, that's 10. So again, gonna just give her a little squish. Go on and off. Oh, we're sticking a little bit. And I'm just gonna go a little faster. What's that from? Oh, okay. Stream can't hear it. Okay. We got notifications going off and I don't know what it's for. Thanks for following. How are we doing, friends? It had a weird shape to start with, and I'm seeing it as I'm rolling it out. Okay. Now, I will also say, I think I have it somewhere in the notes, that the filling is good for about 30 to, say, 32 dumplings. And as I just said, the dough can make up to like 40 of them. So if you like are really not happy with how one of the wrappers turned out, you can throw it away, and that's okay. And you can always have meatballs as well. This one is not circular at all. I guess make sure that you have a pretty good circle and not have like any overlapping pieces on the piece that you pull out. I don't know if that made a lot of sense. I will make sure to demonstrate later. Okay, so I'm gonna just keep doing this. Ooh, she's nice and thin though. That is nice. Okay.
Jin and Rye asks, where was the gyoza hiding at the Rosen at last year's GCX?
I can't bring that. How would I even cook that to like reheat it? You get cookies.
Cookies, they travel much better than
cookies.
Gyoza.
Travel way better.
Much better.
Adding a pasta attachment to the Amazon wish list. Yeah, it is. It is absolutely easier, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple of these. Let me set that. I'm gonna do a couple of these at a time so that they can rest and kind of come back into a circle shape. Let's do that. Because what's happening? So like, I've got like a folds, right? So I'm turning it into a circle. But you can see some of the lines there, and those lines are turning into a misshapen piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them kind of rest a little bit. We've got 2 wrappers. And I'm going to do this. Well, I want these to be circles, gosh dang it. Okay, so for those of us who care about circles, I'm actually going to treat this like I would treat dough. And I'm going to pull in all 4 corners, give it a quarter turn, and then pull it in. And then I'm going to take my hand, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a round guy here. I'm just going to move it around and then do the same thing. Because I care. Can you not see? Dang it. Where is it? This is really small. I'm going to try not to cover it with my own fingers. So 4, you're just going to roll it into the sides. If you want this, like honestly, if you care. This is just if you care. I care. I am that girl. I am that perfectionist. Give her a roll. And then I'm going to set it under and just let it chill for a second. John B, how are we doing? How are you doing with your wrappers? If you do the 13-gram one, you can absolutely get it to a really good thinness and bigger than a cookie cutter, and then you can just cut it out if you need to. Cutting them into circles because I'm also that girl. Thank you. Thank you for coming with me on this journey. That's funny. God, I'm like totally covering the camera. Whee! All right, let's go for it. Okay, so now, as you can see, like there's really not a lot of lines that I'm gonna have to deal with. But this should be better. Okay. I'll probably make about 2 more of these, and then I'll move on to the pasta attachment. And then we can do some more wrappers after if we still need to review some of that. I know it's kind of hard to see, and I feel like I can't. Can you back that up a little bit? Because I'm never in frame. And it's like really difficult to see. Like, I don't think people can even see what I'm doing. It's like way too far out there. Okay. So you can see I'm just rolling back and forth to the middle and back, and I'm twisting as I go. We stuck a little bit. I love when people ask me what's my favorite meal to make. It's always something like this. Like I'll usually say pierogi just because that's like the holiday, like the traditional holiday meal that I make because I'm Polish with my family. But like honestly, anything that involves like rolling, stuffing, folding, like it's so meditative and I love it. I just love like that quiet moment of you just like being focused on something and taking your time and like watching something form. Like it's just fun for me. Can I use the pasta attachment to flatten the wrapper? I guess you could, yeah. It would elongate it if it were too thick, so that would be a little weird. You'd have like an oval wrapper instead of a round one. But you could if it wasn't like thin enough. I mean, I'm essentially going to make strips for like what you would do with like a ravioli, right? So like I'm gonna just make a long sheet and then I'm just gonna cut out like 5 wrappers at a time. Oops. Using a small cup of water, dabbing to smooth them out as you're rolling them in your palm. Oh, there you go. That was a good idea. Nice. about done. Okay, so we'll call that wrapper done. Yay! I don't know if you can see. So like the kind of difference between, let's see if I can show you guys the difference between the 13 and the 12 ounce. I don't know how well this camera is. I'm like across the house from it, so I can't see the TV very well. But you can see like how thick the 13-gram one is versus how thin this 10 one is. And it's a little more like translucent. So you can like see, you can almost see my fingers through the edges on this one, and you can't with the 13. Just so that you know kind of what you're up against. Now, I will say, like, the 13-gram ones are going to be easier to fold when it comes time to fold your dumplings. And dumplings definitely don't need to be pretty to be edible and delicious. So keep that in mind as well. I'm ready to fill and cook some of these guys. It's also time. Just about. I'm getting hungry. Okay, so this is the last one I'm going to make, and then I'll pull out about 55 grams of dough. And I will make sheets to then cut for wrappers. No, I've never made lumpia before. I've eaten lumpia. It's delicious, but I've never personally made it. I'm zoned out. I told you, it's like meditative. It's so nice. I love this. You see me just like my face just like went slack. Right, I'm going to call this done too. We're just going to stop here so that I can start going into other demonstrations. If you are currently making your wrappers with a rolling pin or a bottle of wine, you can keep going. And I'm going to start working on showing whoever else would like to make these, but has a pasta attachment and wants to be lazy. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cover my surface here with a little bit more cornstarch to keep the sheets from sticking. And I'm going to get a little bit of it on the rollers to keep the sheets from sticking, the dough from sticking. Move this over here. And then I'm gonna take about a 55 gram piece. Yeah, like a 55 gram piece. You should have, if you're doing the whole thing on the attachment, you should have roughly 8 of these like 50 to 55 gram pieces per chunk of dough that we've made. And I'm gonna do this real quick because it's starting to stick to the plastic and I don't want it to do that anymore. Okay, let's see. And the reason that I am doing such a small piece is because I, again, want to keep this dough from drying out. If I do like an entire sheet and then start actually making the dumplings, it'll just be like the dough, the wrappers will just be sitting out uncovered or like covered or whatever. And like they'll be either getting sticking, like they'll start sticking to stuff if they're too moist. If they dry out, they'll be much harder to wrap. They'll start like breaking and splitting when you're trying to do to wrap up a dumpling, and you don't want that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do a little piece, and we're going to leave this kind of covered and off to the side to continue just kind of like chilling and hanging out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just get this into a bit of a rectangle. Into like a little guy here. And then this is going to go through. You're going to start at a 1. And we're going to send it through. I'm relaxed, right? Isn't it just so nice? It's so nice. Okay, and I'm just going to flip it back into the cornstarch every now and then if I feel it start to get a little tacky. I've moved this to a 2. And what I'm doing, and what I really like to do when it comes to like using the pasta sheeter, is I will send a dough through twice, just to make sure that I have the correct thickness and that it goes through well every time. We're on 3. No, it's okay. Now 4. We're going to go to a 5. Whee! Okay, and now a 6. Can you actually do me a favor and go grab some Play-Doh out of one of the kids' closets? It should be in Luke's. Okay, so as you can see, this is very thin. You can see my fingers through the dough. if you need, like, if you are not prepared to do all of the folding and you're like still a little unsure about like what your level of readiness is for forming a dumpling. And I'm going to say this to you now. You could literally just take one of these and like have a circle. So let's cut out a circle. Okay, so this is a dumpling wrapper. So I've got a dumpling wrapper here. If you are like not ready, you're like, I don't want to be folding, I don't want to be pleating, I don't want to be doing any of that. You could 100% just do this and then get like a smaller guy and just like a ravioli. Like nobody is going to fault you for that. I honestly like I want people to be able to eat things that taste good and not be so worried that it's like perfect. So like if you could, I would suggest you try pleating and you try the folding and you follow along. But if you're like, this is just not my level, like I am just not there, I would suggest going to 5 instead of a 6. 6 is very thin. 6 is as thin as the 10-gram wrappers that we were rolling earlier. But it's the same thickness throughout, right? So when you're using the roller, you have a really thin edge and you have a little bit of a thicker center. But now that we've used a sheeter, it is all the same thickness. So it is very thin on a 6. I would suggest you use a 5 if you're still kind of starting out and you like need a little bit of extra just weight because this is like super thin. Then I would say do the 5, and then I would also say like don't worry, just it's not a big deal. Like just fold it in half and make sure that the ends will stay together appropriately when you're actually cooking it. Okay. Now you can, let me do this. You can reincorporate this because we've really only added cornstarch to it and not extra flour. It may roll through one more time and then throw out whatever scraps you have, I would say. Okay, so we've got about 5 out of this. Okay, where are we for people who are rolling out wrappers? Do you think you have about 5 wrappers rolled out? Are you ready to take some of that filling and make some dumplings? Are we ready? How are we feeling? Hey, Ouroboros. Better late than never. Yes, you ready? Okay, let's go get our filling. My bowl's so big, I have to open both doors of my refrigerator. Okay. Okay, I'll go get it. Did I throw out all their Play-Doh? Maybe I threw out all their Play-Doh. Whoops. I'll go check. You're going to want to use a cookie scoop. I use a cookie scooper. You could just, honestly, you could use your fingers. You could use a spoon. This just gives me the same amount every time so that they are all the same. Yeah? Okay. I feel like everybody seems like they're ready. You're going to get a little bowl and you're going to put some water in it for your fingers. This water is going to help one side of the wrapper stick to the other side. Okay, and then I really do want to go look for that Play-Doh, but I'm worried that I will be gone for longer than like 30 seconds. Do you want to I'm going to have my husband, I'm going to have him come and just like chat for a second, and I'm going to go see if I can find it.
She'll probably find it in no time because I'm the worst at finding things, but yeah. So, hello. I'm the paid actress's employer. She needs to find the Play-Doh. Indeed. Who's this? Nobody. What did you do with it?
We do not have Play-Doh anymore. I gave it to your mom for the sale.
You gave it to
because the
her?
kids don't really play with Play-Doh anymore.
That's true.
I'm sad about that. Okay, well, for anybody, this is in the FAQ on the recipe on the website.
Littlespoon.com.
For anybody that wants to practice without actually having to make dough, Play-Doh is a great way to kind of roll out and practice the folding motion. And then you can kind of just turn it back into a ball, roll it out again into a circle, and do the folding motion again and again and again until you feel comfortable. So I would highly suggest, even if you do not have children and Play-Doh seems crazy, you can get a literal cup of Play-Doh for 50 cents. And now you don't have to put in all the work. And you can practice for as long as you feel like you need to feel comfortable with the pleating and rolling and all of that. It's really, really helpful. I suggest anybody that wants to do this but is very uncertain and feels like they need practice ahead of time does that. So let's go ahead and do one of these, okay? And that's just gonna go right in. I am 100% going to get my hands contaminated and all that right now because I'm gonna actually turn this into not from a circle, I'm gonna turn it into a little bit of an oblong shape. So I'm gonna do, what are you guys doing over there? I'm gonna turn that
Grammy has arrived
kind of like
and
this.
she would like a drink.
Okay. So I'm gonna get my fingers wet and I'm gonna go halfway through. On the side, you're gonna be taking one side and folding it over. And I'm gonna be kind of doing this, and I'm just gonna kind of get water halfway. Okay? And I'm gonna take this waterlogged side right here. I'm gonna pinch together at the top. I don't know if anybody, can we see that? I've pinched together at the top and kind of made like a little bit of a taco. And I'm going to take the wet side and I'm gonna fold it over like this, little by little, until I come to, wow, these are super thin. And then the same thing on this side. I'm going to pin and pleat, kind of pin and pleat, and use your fingers to press in there to make your kind of gyoza. Let's do a thicker one. Maybe. I don't know. This is our thick one. So this is our 13-gram one. This is going to be way easier for you guys to see the pleat. I was kind of hoping to get the Play-Doh because then it could be nice and thick and you can actually like see me work through this. But I totally forgot about the Play-Doh. How's that? Is that better? I'm gonna throw some cornstarch down again. Cornstarch is your friend. It's not a big deal. Just something. Okay. You're gonna put it kind of smack dab in the middle there. You're gonna make this oblong shape. Okay. You're gonna take a finger, get it wet. You're gonna pull that across kind of the top semicircle. Okay. The faster you do this, the better. There you go. And then you're gonna pinch. Okay. I really should have done some thicker ones so that you guys could see better. And what you're doing, you're basically kind of pulling away, and then you're folding it over this index finger here, and then removing the index finger and pinching. So you're pulling it away, over that index finger, pulling the index finger away and pinching. Okay? And then doing it on the other side. Whatever your non-dominant hand is always gonna feel the weirdest. I'm so much better with it on this side than I am on the other side. Okay, so let's turn this way so you can see this. Same thing, you're gonna pinch and pull it over. I actually, on my opposite side, I pinch between two fingers and I kind of just like pull it up and over because I'm so bad on my non-dominant hand. How does that look? Anybody? How are we doing? How are we feeling? Feeling good? Yeah, the thicker gyoza is a much prettier, but let me tell you how delicious the really thin ones are when you're just getting like a nice big, essentially like pork meatball with a little bit of dough. How are we doing? We're good? We're good? Just order it from a restaurant. Yeah. Yeah, we can do, if you feel like you want less in the middle, you can absolutely do that. That is not here. I'll do a little bit of a smaller one for these really thin wrappers so that hopefully you guys can see some of the folding a little bit better, because when I've got a really thick stuffing, you kind of can't see the fold as well. So let's do that. Okay, so let's do this again. We're gonna start and do a half moon semicircle all the way across with some water. You're gonna lift, pinch right in the center, okay? And then we're gonna fold. We're gonna pull the wet side away, fold it, and then pinch it. Over your index, fold it, pinch it. Same thing, okay? And the same thing. You can do it either way. There you go. How are we feeling? We are going to make a dipping sauce that's got some sesame oil, some fried aromatics, and some soy sauce. A little bit of cooking wine. Okay. I'm going to do another one real quick. Okay, I'm going to say this again here. Let's do this. Okay. If you're like, this is not for me, I really want to eat these, but this folding, pleating thing is not for me, you're going to just do this. And you basically have what you need. Now, I would say that you could do a couple of things. You could either like kind of roll this and kind of like, almost like you're doing a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an apple pie kind of a thing. Like if you rolled it and kind of pleated it around and had like some odd shaped whatever, it will just, as long as it holds together, right? Like you really just want to have a little bit of a thick side here on the top, and you want to be able to get a bottom that you can cook here. If you need to, you can come back to this guy. Okay. We'll use another of our thin wrappers here. Okay, pull him into the middle. I'm just gonna do one that's got a kind of cut top. Okay, if the pleating is not for you, that is okay. You can work to it. You can keep practicing. Not a big deal. Kind of like a ravioli. But you just want to make sure that when it comes time to cook, that you can stand it up so that you get a nice crispy bottom here. Okay? So if this is what it needs to look like, this is what it needs to look like. No, we're not gatekeeping here. Think you got the process down. Nice. Took a couple of tries. That's okay. Apple pie open lace weave on my gyoza. Got it. It's okay. It doesn't need to look like this. It can look like this and still be delicious. Okay, let's make it just a couple more, and then we'll go ahead and we can pan fry them, and we'll make our dipping sauce, and then we will be done. And anybody who's making them at home can just keep going until they're fully together. Okay. Ooh, she's thin. Okay, nice little gyoza. Nice little guy. Let's see, I've got 6. We'll make one more, and then we can do some pan frying. Should I do this on the back stove, honey, or do you think that I should pull the whatever it's called out, the induction cooktop thing that I have. It's kind of loud. You think use the induction cooktop so I can stay here? Yeah. Let's do one more. It's in the middle. Up top, on top of the pots or pans that are up there. All right, so same thing. We're going to pinch right in the middle. And then you're going to go one side, just kind of folding, pressing, pinching. Okay, and then to the other side. Easy peasy. Until you stick it together by accident. There we go. Okay. Easy peasy. You got it. Okay, you want to move that here? Can you do me a favor and put this back in the refrigerator? Okay. I'm so excited. I'm so excited I've got people cooking with me today. Okay, grab your pan, go to your cooktop. Almost. How's that? It's ready to go off the side of the... Okay. Can't pull it any more forward. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of oil. Honestly, olive oil that really want to have like crisp up bottom. But we're going to just use this. That's what I have over here. This is sesame. I'm going to turn this on. Dry out all of the dough that I currently have here. Okay. Good. It's off. Yep. Well, while I go get some batteries, you can listen to Carrie talk on this mic for a little bit. And you can also, no, you can just keep this. I'm just going to get, here, you hold this. I'm going to go get batteries. Now I'm unattached. Hi, everyone. We're having technical difficulties. Apologies to anybody watching the VOD right now, because we will not be clipping this out. That's too much work. You get what you get. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, this thing is on. I'm going to turn this off because it's loud. Right up to my mouth. Okay. We're going to do the to-chin thing that you're supposed to do when you're singing, right? We Gucci? Yeah, we are. She's back. Thank you. Only wait before, is it on already? Oh, they probably heard all that. Let her get reattached. We're gonna unmute so that I can chat while I'm putting this back on. Now that I thought those batteries would last 3 hours. I said, hey, are the batteries? Do we check the batteries? Yeah, they'll last 3 hours. You got two on the bat. You'll be good. It's like, okay. 20 minutes short. Okay. Good? Yes, let's go back to what I was doing. Start back. I can edit this part out. No. We're doing it live. Well, I'm saying for the video. We're doing it live. Okay. Yeah, I guess we could if you really wanted to. All right, so we're going to turn this on to about medium heat. I'm going to pour a little bit of oil in the pan once it gets a little hotter. This induction cooktop likes to heat up way faster than my even induction cooktop behind me. I have induction in this house. I absolutely love it. If anybody's wondering about it, feel free to hit me up and have a conversation about it because I will talk about induction cooktops forever and ever. Amen. Lindsay, we're back. We're back. I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil to the pan. And then I'm going to add my little guys into my pan in kind of like a flower shape. If you've got these kind of long ones, it won't work exactly the same way, but it's just gonna kind of set them in a pinwheel so that they have, you can fit more in a pan. So typically I can fit somewhere between 8 and 11 of these at a time in a pan. In this pan, this is, I think, a 10-inch fry pan. And so basically what we're doing is we're just getting the bottoms nice and crisp. Now remember the water that we were using for our pans? You're gonna just pour a little bit in, and then we're gonna cover this to steam it once we have the bottoms the color that we want them to be. I'm also gonna wash my hands real quick because I definitely was like touching the pork. I'm here, we're good, yay! Do I do the crispy cornstarch bottom thing? Okay, no, I usually don't. I do use cornstarch instead of flour when I am rolling out wrappers. So that is helpful to get a little bit of that lace, but it's not gonna be like what you would get at a restaurant. Let's check our bottoms. And I'm gonna spin these around because one side is cooking. And I'm starting to get a little bit of a nice crispy bottom on the side that is closer to the center. So we're gonna just flip those. The ones that I made first are tacky. Oh, I'm so excited. Fresh wrappers are like so good. If you did get store-bought wrappers, you can find store-bought wrappers. I don't know if most local like supermarkets will have them, but if you have an Asian market near you and you get some pre-made wrappers, I use those quite often. They're obviously not as soft, but they are also far easier to pleat and form the dumplings with. So if you are also looking for like extra practice and you've like done the Play-Doh thing, or you don't want to do the Play-Doh thing, but you don't want to jump straight into making wrappers from scratch, then you can absolutely get pre-made ones, and they are thicker and they're far, far easier to pleat. So you can do that as well. Do I have an Amazon wishlist storefront thing? No, I don't. What you're using heats up so fast, yeah. So I've already got a bit of a brown bottom. We're not quite there yet, but we're pretty close. And I am going to need another one of those guys. You're still waiting for your stovetop to heat up. It's okay. This is the easy part. This is an easy part. That's okay. Not a big deal. We want to get these nice and golden brown. I could technically start here, like just throw the water in here, let them steam and come back to it. But I really like getting like a nice brown, like really like a deep brown color. As long as you got a bit of a crispy bottom, you're in a good place. Now remember, we're also going to add water, steam, and then we're going to let the rest of that, they're going to take the lid off, let the steam evaporate, and come back to that crispy bottom. So if you want to get some of the color on the back end, you can do that too. You don't have to do it all at the beginning. The Great British Baking Show, yeah. The soggy bottom, we're avoiding that. Let's see if I can. So that's a good color. Whoop. Okay. Okay, so in we go. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and throw like an ounce, like 30 mils or so of water in. And then we're just gonna cover. And I'm gonna turn my temperature down a little bit and let that go. I'm also going into my refrigerator because I had some other dough that I was messing around with the other day. I just needed a little bowl. So I'm gonna make the dipping sauce in this guy. And I'm gonna make him behind me. Okay. Let's start pulling together the ingredients for the dipping sauce together. All of this dough. I'm gonna throw these out. They're getting dry. Ugh, there we go. Okay, I pulled most of the ingredients that I would need earlier out. I really feel like I should clean my space before I do this because I have cornstarch everywhere. So I may be doing that. I've got a garbage can right here, so I'm just right into the garbage can. Okay, so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bunch of my spices, aromatics, everything but essentially the soy sauce and cooking wine is going into this. Oil will get poured over the top of that so that the oil will kind of cook through, bring out all of the flavors from those spices into your sauce, and then like the soy sauce and the wine get kind of added in after that. Okay, need to chop again. So I'm going to grab my knife. I need a scallion. I need to sharpen my knives. Goodness. Okay. So that's just going to go right into this metal bowl. Anything that can withstand boiling oil is basically what you're going to make your dipping sauce in. So like don't use glass. It would probably be a bad idea. Plastic, also probably not the best idea. But like a Pyrex or metal or something like that is a good call. We're going to do a little bit of chili flakes. And then some sesame seeds. Whee! Okay. I'm going to throw my garlic in. This would be sliced garlic if you're using fresh garlic. It does not need to be a paste. It's just because it's roasted, it's already a paste. Okay. Let's check. I have a thermometer here that I will be checking the internal temperature of my dumplings, of my gyoza. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, and I'm just going to pop that right into the middle. And I am good. So you want them to be 160 minimum internal. If you don't have a thermometer to check, they will tell you when they are ready. So if you have, if you give this like a poke with like a toothpick or something, if you have a toothpick at home, and you pop that right into the center, and then when you pull the toothpick out, it oozes a little bit, it's not cooked. So put the top back on, let it keep going. If you poke that like a toothpick or something into the middle of it and pull it out and nothing comes out, then more likely than not, you are good to go. But it's better to be safe than sorry. So please get a thermometer. I don't want to be held liable for anybody getting food poisoning because they were not checking the internal temperature of their pork. Please cook it well. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this temperature back up because now we've steamed everything. We want to get those bottoms crisp back up, right? So now I'm bringing my temperature back up. Now, the dough that was once like really soft, right? So like if you are like trying to check the bottoms and it's like pulling up a little bit and kind of stretching, that they're no longer like that. So like I still have a little bit of this bottom. It's still a little crisp, but we've lost quite a bit of that just like really nice, like fully crisp bottom, and we're gonna add that back on right now. Okay. So I'm gonna just let that go. Okay, we're gonna come back over here, and I need my ginger. I'm gonna do some slices of ginger. Just like 1 or 2 little guys. Nice thin slices. Okay, nice thin. Right in. Okay. And then we're gonna do our oil. Are we keeping the cover off now? Once you have it steamed and your internal temperature is 160 or above, you take the lid off and you let that come back to crispy bottom. Food poisoning means you get to skip work. No, that'd be an awful reason. You should just call out sick and have a good day instead of a food poisoning day, an actual food poisoning day. That'd be horrible. Okay, so in a separate pan here, you're going to be putting about, let's see, I have a half of a tablespoon, so very not that much of oil. And I'm going to be bringing that up to a boiling temperature. Once you start to see little wisps of smoke, that's when you're going to stop. And so I'm going to have it on like medium-high heat. This smells done. So let me go ahead and just turn that off so it stops popping at me and I can actually get and check underneath. Almost done. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm doing little happy dances. I'm so excited. Let's see. So we've got a little bit of laciness. Nice crispy color. Get a plate. Ugh. This is not the first cooking stream. This is actually the second one. Well, I can't say that. We've done a lot of cooking streams just on my husband's channel. This is the second one that is in this YouTube channel. All of the other ones are on his, and he's at, I guess, are you Leopard or Leopard Stealth on your Leopard Stealth? So he's on YouTube, he's Leopard Stealth. This is smoking, I have to start over. Whoops. I got distracted. Talking to you guys. So he's on Leopard Stealth on YouTube. If you go there, you can search for live cooking streams and you will find us. We've done maybe 7 or so that are like Thanksgiving meal. We've done some cocktail ones. We've done cookies and some baking things. We did a Cuban day. So I did like a bunch of different stuff, like tostones and things like that on one of them. This is the second cooking stream that is strictly like a single item that I'm kind of cooking from start to finish. And the first one was gumbo. So if you're interested in making gumbo, you can go and check that video out. And this one is now today. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out and just get them. I'm going to turn them upside down just for funsies. Woo! Oh, those are nice. You don't have to use your hands if you don't want to. Get some tongs or like a fork or something. Are we looking for some ASMR? Do we want some ASMR? Ha, hot. I held it for as long as I could. Did that sound good? How did that sound? Okay, this is going down the drain.
It's the first time you ever got distracted and let something burn.
No, it is not. It happens quite often, actually.
I wish this mic was more sensitive to like that.
I'm just going to make the dipping sauce here.
Literally
so
a shotgun mic meant to pick up, sounds like that, but I have to turn it down so low since it's only used for like, not used for ambient.
I'm going to turn this back on. Okay,
I feel like
so
that's quieter than normal.
We're going to put, it's not hot yet. It'll get louder. And plus I've got the fan on.
I guess I can turn that off.
Okay, so we got some sesame oil that we're heating up here. I know you're not going to be able to find this.
I could find anything.
You could try to
Give
find
enough time.
I'm pretty sure it's in the top back bin of the condiments that are in the refrigerator. And
what are you looking for?
This is what it says on the bottle. Do you think you can find that?
Shaoxing wine.
Oh God, Shaoxing. This is for the dumpling sauce, yes, and that is smoking. So we're going to take that off. And it is going to go right in, and that may hurt me a little bit. So we're just going to get a little bit of that in there. Okay, and then you're going to get, I think I have a 1/4 cup of soy. He's not going to find it. Okay, so you got 60 mils of soy sauce. I'm using tamari. It's a stronger flavor. I love it. Oh, I did turn it off. It just hasn't all the way turned off yet. Let's move this so that I can move the final product back into view. Are we going without the wine in here? What are we doing? This is going to be too hot for me to eat, but I'm still going to try. Who's ready? That's the sauce. This is our dipping sauce. Now, okay. So Shaoxing wine, if you cannot find it, again, it is like an Asian market kind of thing. You can use just a mild rice wine vinegar. That is totally fine. Is that what I wrote? Let's see. I don't know. I have it in the notes. Like there's a substitution in there that you can get if you cannot find that specific thing. And it's really just to add like a little bit of brightness and a little bit of lightness. That is not the same thing. It's all the way here. I'll get it.
What?
Oh, it is. I was thinking it was that. Thank you. You got it. You found it. I told him to look in the wrong place. My bad. It is my bad. I did it. Redemption. I told him to look in the wrong place. Okay, so I'm just gonna add about a tablespoon of this. So I'm just adding a little bit of lightness. This is a Chinese product, so it doesn't really fit here. I just really like it. Up to you. When it comes to a dipping sauce, I really feel like you could do like bare minimum of like soy, sesame, some chili flakes, and some scallions, and like be done. I'm adding in the garlic. I'm adding in the ginger. I'm adding in a little bit of this cooking wine. I'm adding a whole bunch of stuff in there that is like not necessary, and it's really just like to your taste. Like, what do you actually like? So this is, I want to taste this. Oh God, that's so good. This is really similar to what I use for like Cantonese stir fry in flavor. And it's very nice. I can barely see it. It's fine. Okay, I'm gonna eat it. Are you ready?
Do it.
Are you ready? Are we gonna eat? We get to eat?
Do
Finally.
it. I feel like I should zoom in on your mouth.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Lindsay, have you eaten one yet?
You got any?
John B, how are you doing? Okay, so what I really like to do, again, this is just a taste. I just really like the dipping sauces. I will 100% like take a bite and then like go back in and make sure that it like goes all the way down into the rest of the dumpling. And I have like a pocket of dipping sauce down there, and then that gets eaten.
You got any extra?
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Oh my God. Okay. This is a great stream. Thank you for coming. If you are doing everything, like all 30 to 40 dumplings, make them. If you don't want to cook all of them at once, you can absolutely take those dumplings. You're going to set them onto like a silicone covered like sheet pan or parchment paper or something like that, and you're going to line them up, not touching. You can freeze them. So put those dumplings directly into a freezer. Let them freeze. Once they're frozen, you can just kind of gather them up and toss them into a baggie and cook them at will. They cook great from frozen. So you can put them right into your right onto your pan. Get those nice brown bottoms, do your steaming, bring that temperature back up to get that crispiness back, and you have them fresh, like essentially fresh, but like right from your freezer, right to your plate. You don't have to wait for them to defrost or any of that kind of stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I guess this is my outro because it is time to go. We went to 2 o'clock. I said 3.5 hours. We made it to 3.5 hours. That's where we landed. I want to finish this plate. I may make some more so that I can have like a much larger lunch than a handful of dumplings. And I'm just really glad that you guys were here with me. Do it. What? Now that I've eaten, I feel like I've got stuff between my teeth. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me in the Little Spoon Kitchen. If you would like to look at more of my recipes, I am on Instagram and I have a website. So Instagram, I'm at _little_spoon, and the website is alittlespoon.com. So you are welcome to go there, look at everything that I have. I do post quite a bit on Instagram, so you can keep up with me and all of the things that I'm doing. Yes. I do not have, you will notice, I do not have ads on my website, and that I do the opposite thing of what SEO would suggest and don't make people scroll to the bottom to get to the recipe. And that complete, whatever, the what is that called? The stubbornness with which I am doing that is all like in part and made possible by people who are subscribed to me on Patreon. We do a monthly hangout on Zoom. I have a private Discord server that we kind of hang out in. We've got a bunch of different channels to talk about, where we're going to eat when we travel, the food we have at a restaurant, the food we made at our home. Hey, something didn't work. Hey, I found this cool scientific fact out about food. We're constantly in there talking about food. So if you liked this and you want more of this and a little bit more of the behind the scenes, Patreon is a great place to go. And also, if you really want nothing to do with that, but you want to support in some way, that would be how you do it. So follow me on the channels that I just listed out, including this YouTube. You can like and subscribe this video and tell everybody that you know to rewatch it. And you can check me out in those places. Are we good? A little rambly, but we did it. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'll see you guys next time.